Let's flip it over to the NBA tonight. The Brooklyn Nets and the New York Knicks. This line opened up overnight around 12. Dropped a little bit to 11.5 now, in a total of 224.5. The Nets in town. Why? Because they live in New York City, to take on the New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden. It's almost a 2-touchdown favorite, Joe. What's that spread line tonight?
Well, it's funny because the overnight line, Donnie, not a whole lot of move. 11 is what we saw last night. 11.5 now, but the Knicks can't be trusted. The story's coming out about Karl Anthony Towns now, and there being some dysfunction. I mean, they are in the middle of it right now. We're talking about a crisis of epic proportion for the New York Knicks here. Can they really be trusted even at home to be laying double digits? Because the Brooklyn Nets, not like they got to travel very hard, very far rather, to get to the Garden, but they're only 12 games behind the Knicks when you think about it here, which is kind of crazy. I don't know. Knicks and Brunson holding a players-only meeting after that embarrassing loss a couple of nights ago. Is it going to make a difference? Right now, people aren't running to the window to back the Knicks here, but it's going to be interesting whether or not the market believes the Knicks can be trusted.
More NBA action tonight. Battle of the Boroughs, the Brooklyn Nets and the New York Knicks here. The favorite is the New York Knicks at minus 11.5 currently across the board, in a total of 224.5. We like to say, where Brooklyn at? Well, Brooklyn's on the road at Madison Square Garden tonight. The New York Knicks, as you said, Joe, team meeting. Did we see a bump from that team meeting, or same old Knicks who really can't get out of their own way in their last 10 games?
Well, that's the big question, Donnie, because they can't get out of their own way here. And, all sorts of questions about, this roster. And don't forget, this was all supposed to be answered with the coaching change, right? Thibs was the guy that they didn't have enough depth. He burned out guys too much during the regular season. They weren't healthy enough. Okay, well, what's the excuse now? Mike Brown doesn't know what he's doing? I mean, at some point, you got to look in the mirror. We played a clip from Mike Brown after that embarrassing loss last game at the Garden, where he was just like, normally we get the coach speech, but I went into that locker room when we were getting killed, and I was like, just do your job. So this is a players issue right now, an effort issue with the Knicks. And let's see the leadership. Let's see the Brunsons of the world turn this thing around, because I don't think it has anything to do with the coaching here.
Take a look at the Indiana Pacers taking on the Boston Celtics here. Another heavy line, double digits at the Boston Garden, minus 11.5 to minus 10.5, depending on where you're shopping at. And this one in a total, Joe, of 226.5. On paper, seems like it should be a blowout. What are we thinking tonight?
Yeah, I mean, this is not great for Indiana right now, right? I mean, they can't shoot the ball. They've just lost to Detroit and Philadelphia on this road trip. This is game 3 of a 5-game trip for them. They had put a couple of wins together last week, which was nice, but they were at home. They were against lesser teams. The Celtics coming off of that so close win against Detroit, the number 1 team in the East. I don't think they are going to hold back here. The fact that it's 10-11 here, Donnie, I think this is only going to keep rising here today in favor of the Celtics.
Cleveland Cavaliers and the Charlotte Hornets tonight. The Cavaliers will be on the road, but they are the favorites here. Minus 2.5 in a total, Joe, that's listed at 236.5 to 237.5, depending on where you're shopping at here. Seems like a light line here for the Cavaliers. Are we buying in, or should it be a Charlotte Hornets slight upset tonight?
I love this Hornets team, man. And the fact of how good they looked, a 3-2 road trip that included wins against the Lakers and the Nuggets. This is a team, Donnie, that has tremendous shooting. Knippel, right? You got Ball. You've got, all of these guys on this team starting to come together. Miller. This team can put 125, 30 points up you in a heartbeat. I think maybe the best way to look at this is give me the over, because the Cavs have been the most inconsistent team that we have seen. And I like the youth and I like the shooting of the Hornets, especially at home. But it feels like we could get a ton of points. We just saw the Cavs on Martin Luther King Day on Monday, right? Just get embarrassed in that game. I'm expecting big efforts by both these teams tonight.
Close to a double-digit favorite for a road team tonight. The Detroit Pistons, one of the better teams in the NBA, certainly the number one seed here currently in the Eastern Conference. They're going to take on the New Orleans Pelicans. That line opened up, Joe, 9.5. We still see the 9.5s across the board in a total from 232.5 overnight, rising to 234.5. Pistons by double digits almost on the road here, Joe.
Well, and they should be, right? Because they've now won 3 in a row, 6 of their last 7. They sit atop the Eastern Conference right now, 31-10 on the season. And yeah, let's face it, the Pelicans are awful on a lot of different levels. But what they've been good at, Donnie, crazily enough, is they are the number 1 home over team. Teams have no problem dropping 130 points on them. And for all their faults, they got Trey Murphy and they got a lot of guys that can score. Sadiq Bey, Zion. It wouldn't shock me if this thing goes flying over the total at 234.5 as the Pistons end up dropping a buck 35 points on them.
Hey, just talking about the Pistons, 9.5-point favorites. Now we take a look at OKC. Also, Joe, 9.5-point favorites over the Milwaukee Bucks tonight. The Bucks are the home team, but getting close to 10 points in a total of 226.5. OKC, maybe the best team in the NBA, at least odds-wise, and also the Bucks, still well under 500. Double-digit win on the horizon for OKC, Joe, or no?
Well, that was the team that just embarrassed the Cavs on Monday in Cleveland here. Now, this is the last game of this road trip that they have had. And the Bucks, to me, Ani, I have mentioned it this week. I think they're just kind of low-key tanking at this point till they can figure out what they're going to do with Giannis, because they have not been good here at all. They barely held on to that. They lost a 23-point lead and almost lost the game to Atlanta on Monday. Now they're back home taking on SGA and company. It doesn't feel like a great spot. The Thunder haven't been great with these big spreads, Donnie. They kind of been burning money, but the Bucks can't be trusted at all here. It would only be Thunder or pass for me in this one.
Two teams playing on a back-to-back tonight, the Toronto Raptors and the Sacramento Kings. The Kings actually are underdogs in this game, but it opened up as a 6-point favorite overnight for Toronto. Now we're seeing 4.5s in the marketplace in a total of 223.5. Raps Kings back-to-back style in Sacktown.
Yeah, and this is all favors Sacramento as the dog here, and I'll tell you why. Is usually when you have teams coming off of ridiculously hot shooting games like Toronto dropping 145 points, there tends to be regression on the second of a back-to-back here. Meanwhile, the Kings, of course, played home last night. Wasn't great for them last night against the Miami Heat, but you're going to get a better effort tonight in Sacramento, who had won. You know, they had a nice little winning streak going here until Miami kind of screwed that up, and now they have a losing streak going. I think Sacramento on the points has got some pretty good value here.
NBA championship odds. The first 3 teams are from the Western Conference. OKC plus 105, Denver Nuggets plus 650, and the San Antonio Spurs at a 12-1 price before we find ourselves with the Boston Celtics at 15-1, Joe.
Yeah, well, this is one of those spots, Donnie, where, all right, so you're telling me the Pistons can't beat in a 7-game series those top 3 teams? I would also look at the odds, Donnie, of who wins the Eastern or Western Conference is your NBA champion. I'd be interested to see what those odds are.
For me in the NBA, going back out to the West Coast, 10 o'clock tonight. Back-to-back games for both of these teams, the Raptors and the Kings. This line opened up overnight, Joe, at -6. It now sits at -4.5. You take a look at the Sacramento Kings, only getting about 30% of the ticket count early in the morning. So I'm going to go ahead, Joe, and take the ugly underdog at home with the Kings at plus 4.5 to battle back. The Raptors look good last night. Fade them tonight on the back-to-back here. Give me the Kings, baby. King me, Joe.
I love it. Yeah, no, I have no interest in backing a team that dropped 145 points last night who will likely regress and score 95 tonight, Donnie.